Welcome to week number 26 in Project 2020, and the biggest news is on Monday morning with the recent announcement of the Ichiro and the Willie Mays print runs. We, as a collector base of Project 2020, have now sold or produced over 2 million Project 2020 cards. How do we get there and where do we go from here? Let's get to all that and more in 1 second. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Chris, otherwise known on Twitter and Instagram as @CRT_Sportscards. And if you want the best website for everything related to Project 2020, it's my website, CRTSportscards.com. It has everything you want to learn or know about Project 2020. And you might ask yourself, how in the world did we make it to 2 million base cards in just 244 releases on Project 2020? And I think it's a combination of, look, the cards are amazing, the artists are pumping this product, and it's also a little bit out of sheer luck. And as they say all the time, it's better to be lucky than good. And when you think back to what 2020 means, and it's going to mean a lot of things to a lot of different people, but in the baseball card world, Project 2020 is going to be the set that we talk about for many, many years to go. And I know for me personally, I have learned to interact and maneuver through the hobby without having to rip a single pack. I have really lost all sort of, maybe not desire, but just sort of the energy to rip through 4 to 5 cases of a product, flip them, try to sell them. I'm having so much fun with this set, and it's just amazing that we have now hit 2 million base cards. It's very, very unlikely, based on our current trends, that we ever make it to 3 million base cards. That's a very, very large number with only 160 cards to go. But when you think about 244 releases, just over 2 million base cards sold, that's an average print run of just 8,200 per card. But when you think about the current stage of Project 2020, we're only pumping out 2,000 to 3,000 per release, sometimes 4 to 5. So unless we have Bubble 2.0, which I don't even think, even if we had another surge in the product, that we'd even get anywhere near Bubble 1.0, I don't think we're ever going to see a print run in the 40 to 50,000, much less 30 or 25,000. So the numbers right now look like we're going to print anywhere from maybe 2.55 to 2.65 million, just on a average print run of 4,000 from here on out. But even 4,000 is kind of a large number on average. So even if we have a little bit of a spike, if new collectors come in, it really looks like 2.75 million is going to be sort of the max capacity of this set. And I think when you look back to March and you look back to April and you think about the print runs there of 1,000, 1,101, 1,200, 1,300, this set getting to nearly 3 million base cards, or 2.75, or officially 2 million right now, this has just been a tremendous success all around. I just wish Topps was talking about it more. And I'm not going to rehash my last video. If you have not watched it, please check out episode number 83. There are a lot of good things going on right now with the set, but Topps is not really talking about it. So they're going to leave it to us to really celebrate the fact that we are now at 2 million base cards. But we'll get back to that here in a second. We do need to talk about the cards that released on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. And on Monday, we had Joshua Vides release his Ted Williams, and we had Ermsey release his Fucci. Oops, Ermsey releases. That doesn't make any sense. We also had Nolan Ryan. We also had Ermsey release his Nolan Ryan. See, months later, I'm still making this mistake, and Topps also made this mistake on the website because they had Fucci and Ermsey in the description on this card, so I am not at fault for this mistake. No, I'm completely at fault for this mistake. And eventually, by the time we get to card 400, maybe I'll get it right and stop mixing up Fucci and Ermsey. But when you look at these two cards and go, which one was my favorite, I will have to say I did really like the Joshua Vides Ted Williams, but that's because I really like the Ted Williams card as it stands, basically from 1954. The yellow background is great, the design is great. Joshua Vides did his line work, but here again, he's just adding lines and dots to a card and his design. But that is what he does, and so I'm not surprised to see that card. I just wish it was black and white. That would be a phenomenal card and a phenomenal set for Project 2020. But my card of the day is, of course, the Ermsey Nolan Ryan. And bonus points for anyone who can tell me what balloon figure Nolan Ryan is making in the card. It's a great card overall. It's very fun. It's enjoyable to look at. It's going to display very well, or going to go with your set very well if you're an Ermsey fan. And here again, he has done his cards, at least to our understanding, way ahead of time. So there's no way to put any kind of creative, or current day stuff in the card. But it was another very, very classic Ermsey design on this Nolan Ryan. Now turning the page over to Tuesday. Tuesday was an all-star release day, not only from the player that got released, but from the artist who got released. And right now there is no artist that has the attention more with the fan base than F. And F. releases his Ricky Henderson, along with Don C releasing his Mike Trout. And he's been following along in the set. This is now Mike Trout's third card in the 200s that ends with a 7. He had card 207, 227, and now 247. That is obviously not a coincidence. Topps is doing this on purpose because Mike Trout is number 27. So we can only presume we're going to have him at 267 and then again at 287. So the bets are on right now as to who releases their Mike Trout next, and then the 5th Mike Trout in the 200s. But then when you look at these two cards from the design perspective, which one was my favorite? On the Mike Trout, it's cool. It's Don C. The first thing in my mind, I'm sure like others, Angels in the outfield, the wings on Mike Trout. The catching of the home run is cool. The matrix is cool. Not my favorite. My favorite, of course, is this Ricky Henderson by F. A couple of really, really cool things in the card. The LB, for my opinion, is Long Beach. I presume that's what it stands for. If it doesn't, please correct me in the comments below. We had the BART train. Ricky Henderson was maybe as fast as the BART train back in his playing day. The stolen base record on the bottom left. A really, really great card overall. I liked him holding the base in the middle. That's a really, really neat design. And then of course, the homage to the original card right there on the bottom left. So a great card. The green stands out. And here again, another really, really good Ricky Henderson. I'm not collecting him. I think I should, because there are so many great Ricky Henderson cards that I like. So headed into Wednesday, knowing we have a Sophia Chang, Derek Jeter on tap for this week, the Wednesday cards are either going to catapult us to having a great week overall or kind of reset the meter, and we're going to have to regain that steam going into Thursday. And I will say the cards on Wednesday, for me, they were very, very underwhelming. And both of them, for me, were very underwhelming. And maybe it's unfair for me to say that a Blake Jameson or a Ben Baller card is underwhelming for the set overall. But when you think of their progression, you think of their cards, you think of the fan base behind their cards. And when you look at, for example, this Sandy Koufax by Blake Jameson, there could have been so many great things he could have done with this card. It just feels that the portrait with the yellow background, we've seen that. It's called the Keith Shore card. I think Blake could have just done more with this card. And then when you look at the Ben Baller, Bob Gibson, yes, the postcard is neat. The name in ice is cool, but it just feels like there could have been more. The Tony Gwynn was really cool. It felt like he was trying to play off that Tony Gwynn a little bit, but it just didn't work in my mind. And so when I think of a Blake Jameson, Ben Baller release date, I think of big, bold, I think of artists taking risks. So it goes without saying, the Jameson and Baller were easy passes for me. I'm not collecting them in the first place, so they were even easier passes for me when I saw them. But when it comes to the leader in the clubhouse, it is going to be the Ricky Henderson by F. And one thing I did leave out when I talked about that card, which I really appreciate on this card, is the fact that the name Ricky is just at the top of the card. Because when we say Ricky in MLB or anything sports card related, we know who we're talking about, Ricky Henderson. So I really think F. captured the spirit of the name and of the player perfectly in this card. And then from a buying perspective, I've only had to buy one card this week 5 times. And so I'm only in the hole at the moment, about $80 for the Joshua Videz Ted Williams. Now, while those 6 cards are going to add just a couple thousand onto that 2 million print run count, one cool thing to do is to look back at kind of how we got here. And when you really think about this set and you think about where we came from, the summer months, May, June, those were just some magical times because we all thought that buying a card up to 40, 50,000 on a 40-hour time period was going to make all of us a lot of money. Yes, it's great to look back and go, man, we made some mistakes. Man, we did this. Man, we did that. But we all learned a lot in this process. And now, as the print runs come back down, it's great to look back right now at the top 10 printed cards in this set. Because when you take 2 million printed cards and you look at just the top 10, that accounts for nearly 550,000 cards in just 10. So let's take a look at that list real quick. So here is that top 10 list right now in just a couple of highlights. And it's very interesting to think about when you look at what artists are selling right now and what are not selling in really sort of the post-bubble era of Project 2020. Look at that Don C. Cal Ripken, 41,392. Ted Williams, Old Man Allen, 41,407. Natural, who you know is one of my favorite artists, 43,147. Joshua Vides with his line and dot work here. Nolan Ryan, 64,629. Then we had the Mike Trout collaboration when it came to Blake Jamieson and Ben Baller. Just an insane 74,862. And of course, we can never forget Griffey Shore, 99,177. So I'm here to say officially right now, I do not believe that we are ever going to print a card anywhere near that record level. 35,000 in 48 hours is just a tremendous amount of product. I just don't think we're going to get there. I think we're all too smart to get there. Could we see a card again in the 15,000, 20,000? Most definitely. But I don't think we're ever going to see a card in the top 10. So it feels really good right now. You could almost cement these cards as the top 10 printed cards in Project 2020 history. And that Griffey Shore will forever live on in our minds as the sort of fun part of Project 2020, but also the moment where we all lost our collective minds. But now on a positive note, where we have regained our minds and really started making the right buying decisions are with the cards from this week. And right now we've seen 2 of the 10 print runs. And the first note for the week was the Ted Williams by Joshua Vides that I purchased 5 of. That card comes in at 2,150, so just eking over the line for 2,000, not threatening 1.9. But when you look at what this card means for the future, as we move through the remaining 150 cards, I think right now we could see a card print at 1,500. I said for a long time that it'd be very difficult to print under 2,000, and we've only done it one time with that Natural Rivera. But when you look at all of the cards that still remain, the artists with certain players mixed in, I could definitely see us coming at 1.5. Hopefully we never get there. Hopefully 1,902 remains the lowest in sort of the modern card perspective of Project 2020. But I would not be surprised in the next 2 or 3 months with the holidays upcoming, a lot of distractions happening, we get down to 1.5. But we will find out. On the flip side, it was really good to see the Ermsey Nolan Ryan coming at 3.5. What that tells us right now is anything over 4,000 is a big number. So when you think back to last week with the Derek Jeter Old Man Allen at 4.3, that is a big, big number. So I think we're just going to start to see more cards settle in that 2.5, 2.6, 3.1 range. And if we get a card over 4,000 or anything higher than that, yes, this Mike Trout this week is going to post a big number, but that can be expected with Mike Trout. And by the way, quick side note here on Mike Trout, more of a question for the community. I'm really curious. I was under the impression that after card 100, he was going to have a signed card in every release going forward. And the only ones that we have seen signed from Topps are card number 100. So does that mean if you've not received your Mike Trout from 100 up to 200, that maybe you're going to get a signed version? Or are they going to send out the autograph versions to lucky collectors after the fact? You know, in their release notes on the release, it says the autograph card takes place of the base card, but I can't figure out how we've only seen the signed Ben Baller, Blake Jamieson card 100 show up on eBay and nothing else up to this moment. But on every other card coming out, 2.5, 2.7, 3.1, I think again, we're just gonna pepper that range for the remaining 150 cards. I don't want to get to 1.5, but at the same time, I would not be surprised to see 1.5 come up in October or early November. And while you're here, please hit that subscribe button so you can stay up to date with Project 2020, as this is the best channel on YouTube for everything related to Project 2020. And check out my website for the most up-to-date pricing on first player, second player, and the Forgotten 7 in Project 2020.